Hi, and welcome back as we start exploring the nervous system. And as usual, we're going to start with an overview looking at general concepts related to the nervous system. So, when we're talking about the nervous system, it can be divided into two parts. The first part is known as the central nervous system, and there's only two components in the central nervous system, so learn them. It's very simple. The central nervous system is the brain, and continuing inferiorly from the brain, the spinal cord. That's it, nothing else. Anything else related to the nervous system is part of the peripheral nervous system. So anything that has that word nerve, sciatic nerve, median nerve, mandibular nerve, all peripheral nervous system. Anything that's physically attached to the brain, but on the outside of it, peripheral nervous system. Anything that's attached to the outside of the spinal cord, like a root or a spinal nerve, peripheral nervous system. It has to be the spinal cord itself or the brain itself to be central nervous system. It's that straightforward. Okay. So looking at the peripheral nervous system, there are going to be two divisions. The first division is the sensory division, and this is going to be all the information being sent from the body towards the central nervous system. And then the other division is going to be the motor division. And so this is going to be carrying information away from the central nervous system towards the body to get some sort of response going. So here's how the nervous system works. Here's a little example. Pretend it's date night, okay? And you go, oh, honey, I have cooked the most amazing meal for you. We've got a little porterhouse steak thing going on here, or cauliflower steak in case you're vegetarian, okay? And I have seasoned it perfectly, and it's awesome. And okay, I'm just going to put it in the oven to keep it hot while I go get dressed. Okay. And then I've set the table. And then you call out, honey, could you take it out of the oven for me and bring it to the table? Okay. And so he's taking it out of the oven because he's thinking, oh, it's going to be a good night tonight. But notice what he's doing. Did he bother getting the pot holder? Mm-mm. Because he was thinking ahead, I might be getting lucky tonight. So what's going to happen when he puts his hand on that hot pan? Well, within a split second, he's going to be dropping that pan, saying some four-letter words, and he's going to have burnt his hand. And he's going to drop that pan before his brain consciously has even registered that it was hot. So what happened? Well, his nervous system went in action. He had sensory input and he had motor output. And in between those two things, his brain had to figure out what was going on with the sensory input and had to determine what course of action to take. Okay. So that brings us to the three nervous system functions. We can divide it into three big groupings. The first grouping is sensory input. So in our skin, as well as our internal organs, we have all different types of receptors, which we'll learn about later when we learn about our senses. So as you know, we've got, visual because we can see, we can hear, we can smell, we can taste, we can feel cold, we can feel wet, we can feel stuff that's rough or smooth like a feather, or we can feel when Olga's giving the deep Swedish massage. We also can feel when there's gas in our gut stretching it. We can feel when our uterus is contracting, trying to push out a baby, or giving us a menstrual cramp. We can feel when our bladder is distended and we really need to go to the bathroom. We can feel when we're dizzy. So we have all these internal and external receptors, and each one of those is connected to a little sensory nerve. It's going to generate nerve signals that are going to travel from the peripheral nervous system all the way to the brain or spinal cord. And that is the function known as sensory input in a nutshell. Yes, each one is a specific little function, but all together it's the two-word function of sensory input. Once it's in the brain and spinal cord, well, then you've got to process that information. Sometimes it's processed just in the spinal cord. Sometimes it's processed just in the brain. Sometimes it has to go from the spinal cord up to the brain and then come back down. It reviews all the incoming messages. It makes sense of it. Sometimes it stores stuff as in memories. That's how you know when you smell chocolate chip cookies, you smile and go, "Oh, yes, good memories." Anyway, this integration process determines what the appropriate response is. It doesn't do the response, but it decides, okay, here's what we need to do. We had 85 votes that the person's hot, and we had 20 votes that the person's cold. So we need to do some shivering to warm up the person. So that brings us to the third function, which is going to be motor output. So in motor output, we are going to have nerve signals that are going to travel from the central nervous system. Because remember, integration was 100% within the central nervous system. So we have to leave the central nervous system now and travel in the peripheral nervous system to the muscles or the glands that are going to give us the motor intake. Maybe dropping the hot pan, maybe constricting a muscle. Um, Maybe in the picture on the right, we had sensory receptors telling us there was dust on the surface of the eyeball. So you needed to blink the eyeball as well as have your lacrimal glands secrete tears to try to wash it out. Okay. So that's motor output. Three functions: sensory input, integration, and motor output. All right, so let's go back and review this prototypical neuron you learned about introductory. So the main part of the neuron that contains all the organelles, lots of rough endoplasmic reticulum, so can make lots and lots of proteins, which are going to be important later on, is the cell body. It's got the nucleus with the nucleolus as well. Then we have processes which are going to have a lot of incoming messages, and those processes are known as dendrites. And then we have like a triangular area that has one outgoing process that carries that message away from the cell body, and that one process is known as an axon. Sometimes, as shown in this picture, that axon will have what looks like marshmallows on it. I'll be talking about that later on. The distal end of the axon, in other words, the part of the axon that's furthest away from the cell body, will branch in up to 100 little branches. This one is showing 5 branches, and these branches are known as the axon terminals. And it's the axon terminals that are going to interact with these cells to cause the motor response at the other end. Okay, so that brings us to the point now where we need to talk about the functional types of neurons. So the first functional type of neuron I want to talk about is called the interneuron. Inter meaning between. So this is the type of neuron that we're going to find between the other two types of neuron. And this is the type of neuron that we only find within the central nervous system. And it's 100%, both the cell body and the axon terminals are within the central nervous system. So it 100% lives in the brain and the spinal cord. Okay, so it could have its cell body in the spinal cord and the axon terminal in the brain, or vice versa, or it could be 100% in the spinal cord or 100% in the brain. If we look at it, the axon is fairly short and the axon is naked. It does not have what we're going to learn about shortly that's called a myelin sheath. And it looks like that typical neuron that I showed on that previous picture. The second functional type of neuron is what we call a motor neuron. And this one has a long axon, and the axon has those marshmallowy type of things on it. It has a covering known as myelin. So it has what we call a myelin sheath. And this is the type of neuron that's going to take the impulses from the central nervous system. So the cell body is going to be in the central nervous system, either in the brain or the spinal cord. But the axon terminals are going to be where we want that motor action to happen at what we call the effector. Okay. So that means the axon and the axon terminals are in the peripheral nervous system. So this neuron is part of the peripheral nervous system, except for the little cell body. And the other type of neuron is a sensory neuron. Now, when you look at this one, it's slightly different in that the cell body isn't at one end. It actually is kind of sitting, for most of the sensory neurons, the cell body is sitting in the middle of the axon. Kind of weird, but we're not going to talk about it any more than that. Has the dendrites at one end, has the axon terminals at the other end, and notice it has a long axon here. And so it's going to take the nerve impulses from the sensory receptors in the peripheral nervous system and it's going to carry them. And here's the thing, the cell body is still in the peripheral nervous system. So it's going to be in a ganglion in the peripheral nervous system. And only the axon terminals are going to be in the central nervous system. So all the rest of this is in the peripheral nervous system. Okay. So three functional types of neurons: sensory nervous system, mostly peripheral nervous system, but ends in the central nervous system. Interneuron, 100% within the central nervous system. Motor neuron starts in the central nervous system. Rest of it is in the peripheral nervous system. Okay, so that brings us to the term nerve. What's a nerve? Well, it's part of the peripheral nervous system, as I said before on the very first slide. But what a nerve is, it's a group of axons that are traveling together. And so it could be a group of motor axons traveling together. That would be a motor nerve. Or it could be a group of sensory axons traveling together. That would be a sensory nerve. Or it could be like a two-way highway where we've got sensory axons traveling this way and motor axons traveling that way, forming a nerve. So here we have individual neurons in a nerve, and they're traveling together. The ones in this example have a myelin sheath on them. And this is going to be common in the peripheral nervous system to have a myelin sheath, as we'll see later on, because myelin sheaths are going to be really important for nerve impulses in the peripheral nervous system because we're traveling long distances. So what does a nerve look like in the peripheral nervous system? Well, all of these black lines are nerves. And so here's a picture of what a nerve looks like in the cat. And so here the red things are arteries, the blue things are vein. And the reason why they look red and blue is because they've been injected with red plastic stuff and blue plastic stuff because they wouldn't look that color normally. But these yellowish things, these have not been injected with anything, and these actually are the nerves, and you can see that they are going to branch. And then the brownish stuff, those are the muscles, and this is in the upper limb area of this particular cat. Okay, that's it for this introductory part. I will see you shortly when we come back and we're going to learn all about what's called a reflex arc. See you shortly.